from here on out. All right. About Barbara. Since breaking free from codependency, Barbara's biggest passion in life to share her insights and guide, support, and teach women to be free from all forms of oppression, to discover their inner strength, and to build a totally new relationship with themselves, which leads them to find true love. She has been a coach for the last 10 years and is also a speaker and expert on emotional strength. She has helped many women turn around their lives, and she wants to help many more. She is a native of the Dominican Republic and has lived in Europe for more than 20 years. Academically, she has a bachelor's degree from the US, an MBA from the UK, and a coaching degree from Switzerland. She is currently the president of the Geneva Coaching Support Group for Noble Manhattan Coaching. So very awesome background there. So tell us how you got interested in coaching.
Okay, so actually really through my life story, right? I actually had a pretty easy life. I would say I was very blessed in that I feel like I have a real connection with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And I was able to manifest like all these scholarships and study abroad. So that's why I did my bachelor's in the US. It was a scholarship. Then I did my MBA in Scotland. It was another scholarship. I even spent a semester in China in another scholarship. So I feel like I was really blessed. Until, well, I'm not going to say that, but when I got married, I feel things changed. I realize now that it had to happen because with my upbringing, right, and my childhood, I was programmed to marry somebody like that, right? I was really programmed because I feel like I married a mix of my father and my brother. Right? So this is what happens to codependent people, right? We associate love with a certain type of behavior that we saw in our families. And so, yeah, so I married this man he's a good man, but he had these narcissistic traits. So he felt like life owes me. And me, I was feeling I owe life. Right? So I was all about giving. This is common in codependency. I was all about giving and putting the other person on, giving them first place. And the other person is used to receiving. So for him, it was normal. Yeah, give me more. And at one point, Stephanie, what I realized, I remember this day, I was in Zurich, living in Zurich, and all of a sudden it hit me, it doesn't matter how much I give him, it doesn't matter how hard I try to make this relationship work, it's never going to be enough. It was like an epiphany, that I had at that moment. It's never going to be enough. And when I realized this, I started to, read and I got a coach, I had a mentor, and just because it's like you don't know what you don't know, right? So to discover, oh my God, there's a missing piece in my life. It takes time and effort. And so it was, through God, life guiding me that I realized there's something, wrong here. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I'm a codependent, right? I think this is like a horrible moment in people's lives, right? It's like, I imagine it's like for an alcoholic to discover, oh my goodness, I'm an alcoholic, right? It's exactly the same. So so trying to help myself, Stephanie, and trying to help at this moment in my life, I was actually in church and I was very involved, and I think it was also a way for me to find some kind of refuge, right, and try to make sense of the situation. And I was a leader of a women's group within the church, and so I was also trying to find answers for them. I remember specifically asking God, the universe, like, how are there tools, right? I'm sure there are tools I can use to help better myself and these women. And so through life's coincidences, I stumbled upon coaching and I fell in love with it. And I've been a coach since. And I want to add, Stephanie, that is really funny because when I started my coach, it was geared to helping couples. I thought, I want to help people have better relationships, right? And I was trying to help my relationship and help all these women relationships. And until it just hit me Like I said, oh my God, no. I'm going to stop working for my relationship. I have to work for myself. I have to save myself, right? Until one day I had to make that choice. I had to make either I choose my life or I choose my marriage, right? And at that moment, I realized life is more important.
Yes. And I think that what you say is such an important piece for people who are in those codependent relationships, because for me, I did the same thing in that I kept looking at what can I do to fix this? And I did grow up religious, and I did grow up feeling once you get married, you stay married. So I need to figure this out and fix it. So it was everything. What can I do? What can I change? And it was more and more losing myself, walking on eggshells, not being able to be the best version of me, and just completely starting to just like shrivel up and just not be a good me anymore. And all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, why am I putting all of this into a relationship that's not healthy when I could be putting all of this energy into myself and working on myself and possibly creating a better relationship, not only with myself, but also with someone else, and really allowing ourselves to let go and stop trying to force something that's not working and see, hey, sometimes we really just need to let go. And as codependents, that's so hard.
Absolutely, Stephanie. And oh my God, I didn't know that we share this background in religion, right? In Christianity. And it's so true, right? I grew up with this belief, my goodness. I mean, the last thing the most horrible thing you can do in life is get divorced, right? I mean, my family, they're still convinced that I'm going to go to hell because I got divorced, right? I mean, really. So, and I often say that it's really, is the combination of being a woman, being already too nice, and religion actually can be very destructive, right? It really
Yeah.
can, because religion is a lot about, give the other cheek and be meek, and humble, and don't defend yourself. And those things are great for people who already have a big ego. But for us, right, who are already used to being, putting ourselves on second place, when you add all that stuff in, is terrible, right? It is really terrible. So yeah, so to break away from that, and I don't know in your case, but in my case, my family was so against that I would, divorce. How could I do that? Divorce the father of my children, and we had been married 20 years almost. So it's so hard because you have to go against your whole upbringing. You have to go against your religion. You have to go against your culture, and you have to go against your family, and you have to go against your own beliefs that you've held you for so long. So it really takes courage to take a step like that.
Yeah. And what I have come to find, and people that I work with that are, that are religious and afraid of that same exact scenario, God did not put us here to suffer through a bad relationship. We were not put here for that. So if it is something that is not working out, for me, there was physical abuse along with emotional abuse and all sorts of different levels of abuse. That was not what God would have wanted for me. So I was choosing to stay in something that would not have been looked at positively by God if I was listening, because I was being told get away, but I kind of didn't want to listen to it because I was afraid that I was going to do something wrong, going against something wrong in my mind. And luckily, I did not keep that negative thought. So it looks like we lost Barbara again, but I'm sure Barbara will come back on. And it looks already like people are saying that they really needed to hear this. And that's one of the things that I find to be such a powerful tool, is that religion is a beautiful, wonderful thing. And at this point in my life, I consider myself more spiritual, and I feel very connected to other people. But for me, my background of going to church every Sunday and being a part of church growing up, there was a lot of really positive things, but there was a really, some of the negative things, exactly like Barbara said before, was that it's just that it teaches us to turn the other cheek and deal with everyone's crap when we shouldn't be dealing with that. So there's just, there's those pros and cons about religion. And one of them is people feeling trapped when they should be really letting go.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephanie. And the thing is, I was thinking of the vows that we say in marriage, right? So, we say together through disease and health and poverty and right and richness. But it doesn't say, and we say together through abuse, right? And that this
Yes.
is the piece we're missing. We are not called to stay in a relationship where we're being abused, whether it's physical abuse or emotional abuse, right? Or psychological, whatever type of abuse. So when I
Mhm.
realized that, it's like, oh my goodness, yes. And you know what I like? That God, does not define himself by sacrifice or marriage. No, those are not the top words. If we look at the Bible, the top words are life, the top words, right, are truth, right? And this is like living a lie when you're in a relationship like that and you're pretending that you have this wonderful family, and it's not true, right? So I figured, no, life, this is the choice I had to make at one point, is I either choose my marriage or I choose my life and to be free, right? And I thought, no, higher values are freedom and true love, right? And yeah, and that gave me like the I don't know, the strength to say, that's it. I'm done. I'm over.
And I love what you said about the lie, because that's what I think a lot of us are living, and we're living this lie. And you're so right. That's not something, living a lie is deceptive for everyone. So here we are pretending that we're in this great marriage and pretending like everything is okay when we go home and cry ourselves to sleep because we feel so lonely and feel so terrible and depleted. And so that's, we're actually hurting ourselves by living that lie, by pretending everything is okay when we know there is something greater and better for us. And so I'm so glad that you were able to get away from that and have that epiphany, that it wasn't about fixing the other person, it was about really working on yourself and creating your best life.
Yeah, Stephanie. And one of my pillars of what I teach women is, don't give your pearls to the pigs. And this is actually a line from the Bible, right? And it says, and the rest of the verse says, because those pigs are going to turn around and tear your heart apart. And this is exactly what it is. I remember thinking at one point, my God, do I have to change now? Do I have to become, sorry for the word, but a bitch, then, right? So protect myself, right? And is that the right thing to do? And then I realized, no, those pearls are, right, the love that we're willing to give somebody, the affection, the praise, right? We love to make people feel great. And what I learned is, no, keep your heart beautiful and loving, but just don't give it to a pig. Give it to a prince, right? This is what I discovered. No, there are men that are going to appreciate that, and that they're also going to give me their pearls, and we can make something beautiful. And this is the relationship I have now. So I say to women, no, the problem is not that you're loving. The problem is that you're giving that to the wrong person, because you need to heal, right? Because another thing I want to touch upon is that codependents like bad boys, right? Because we like people who are in that position of power. And I remember, it's scary when I think about it, that I remember that I was attracted exactly to men that would treat me badly. If, right? If a
Yeah.
guy would be a gentleman and open the door for me and the car door and would treat me like super well, I would think like, what's wrong with this guy? Oh my God,
Mhm.
what an idiot, right?
Yeah.
Because, right, I thought of myself as not good enough, not worthy enough. So if he's doing that, like, I don't want this guy. It just did not correspond to my idea of what a man was, or what love was, or what a relationship was, right? So it is so important for us to heal. So in order to be able to fall in love with the right person, isn't that crazy?
Well, and it's so funny because as you're saying that, I'm thinking my husband and I have had a conversation that had we met each other 10 or 15 years ago, we're not sure we would have even connected. We're not, because we were in such a different place ourselves. We were not the whole people that we were when we met. We were both broken and needed to fix ourselves and work on ourselves completely before we were able to find each other. So that when we did, it was a beautiful unison. But we neither one of us think that that would have been the case 10, 15 years ago.
Oh my goodness, same here, right? With my new partner, I'm like, if I would have met you when I was 25, I mean, I would have never been attracted to you, because it was not my idea of what like a macho man was. This is what I thought a man should be, a macho man. And then even to this day, my mother, if she sees a man who is very, kind and gentle, he thinks, oh my God, that's not a man. So I grew up with this, right? And so she was attracted to these men that were really tough, but that just made her suffer. Isn't that crazy? And the thing is that what makes me really sad is that we see this all over the world, right? All over Latin America, Asia, Africa, Middle East. I mean, still there is so much oppression, and men, I feel sorry for the men too, because the men have the wrong idea of what a man is, right? So many think, yes, I have to be imposing and dominant and show the woman that I'm here, the boss, when actually they're hurting themselves too. So I really think, Stephanie, that we need to re-educate the whole world, right? The whole world on what true masculinity is like and what true femininity is like, right? That we can be feminine, we can be beautiful, but we need to be really strong. We need to really believe in ourselves unapologetically, right? We need to express our voice. We need to defend our rights. I mean, and we need to strive for equal relationships, right? There's no other way that we can have a healthy relationship unless both partners are of equal value.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of men, when I speak to them about this, they will admit that they don't know how to properly behave as men, that they are kind of in this place where there's a lot of men that will admit that they would like to be a little bit more emotional or would like to share, but then they're uncomfortable and they don't really know how people are going to react and they've never done it before, so it's awkward. And then there are women that would like to be more assertive, but then they're afraid that sounds too domineering. So there's all these people that are afraid to really like live in their full shine and really, become their best version of themselves because they're so afraid of what society around them, how they're going to be judged.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I said we really need to re-educate everybody, right? That men need to be gentlemen, right? The word is there, gentlemen. And women, we need to be strong. And then you have this equilibrium. And I realized this is the only way, right? Somebody to have a healthy relationship is when we both have equal value. Doesn't mean equal roles. We can have different roles, different personalities, right? But it's equal value. In my marriage, I always felt like I was a second class citizen. So I was down here, right? My ex-husband was up here. He took all the decisions. He decided everything. I mean, we had to like be afraid of what he would do. And, my job, my whole job, I feel like in those 20 years was, oh my God, I try not to make waves, right? Not rock the boat so that we wouldn't have more problems and he would not get more mad, than what he normally got, right? So it's a horrible way of living, and nobody can be happy,
Nope.
right? And what I want to tell,
Either. I bet he wasn't happy either. There must have been there was other things going on there.
absolutely, absolutely, no, and many women. I want to say this to the women that many women they stay married for many years, like I did, because no, my kids, absolutely, they need their father and they need to grow in a home with mother and father. What I've learned is that actually, again, the highest values should not be, the home or mother and father. The highest values in life are peace, love, right? Harmony, respect. So if in
Mm-hmm.
that home and family you cannot have love, peace, and respect, you are not giving your children the right environment, right? So whatever I realized is that my kids learned a lot of toxic behavior and they grew up in this toxic environment. It was not good for them. So, no, I want to say this to women and men, because of course there are men who are also codependent. I focus more on women, but we know it can be both men and women. Don't stay in a toxic relationship for the sake of your children because you are not doing them a favor. On the contrary, right? You are really doing them a harm.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to the re-education because here's the thing. Us, I know for me in particular, and I'm sure for you as well, we come from a long line of unhealthy relationships. So I look at my parents, they were in an unhealthy relationship. Their parents were in an unhealthy. So it just kind of goes around the line. So at some point, someone has to turn around and be like, hell no, I'm not doing this anymore. And we have to make the decision to stand up and make a change. And it's scary and uncomfortable because we're the first one of this long line that says, I'm not doing this anymore. So the family doesn't know what to do. Like, you want to make things different? That's, we don't do that. We don't make changes. So, they're a little bit uncomfortable. We're really uncomfortable because it's not what we're used to. But if we don't do that, then we continue the miseducation for our children, and then it just keeps going and going and going. So at what point do you say enough is enough, and I am willing to do whatever it takes to make the change myself so that I can show my children and others around me? For those of you who don't have children, it's to also show other people
Yes.
around you
Yes.
that you have to stay that way. Because when I talk to people about unhealthy relationships, I think so many people think, well, that's normal because that's what they see is unhealthy all around them, instead of saying, hey, I can make a decision for myself to be healthy. And if you want to be unhealthy, that's up to you. But that's not how I choose to live my life. And that's how I will not be. I will make sure that I do everything in my power to be the healthiest version of myself.
Exactly. Yeah, no, Stephanie, and I love that now my children are grown. Well, my son is 21, my daughter is 18, but I still love to show them, to model for them what a healthy relationship looks like. Because I said, no, I want them to have this. I want them to know what should be their goal, right? And I talk to them about it. And I teach them, for example, no relationship can be healthy if it's not based on respect. Just even respecting, like, freedom of speech. I remember thinking, my God, and telling my ex-husband this, while we were married, but there's no freedom of speech in this family, right? Like, let's not even talk in a country, in this family, because he wanted to control who could say what and when, and no, we cannot say this, and yeah, and so I say to them, and I teach my clients too, no relationship is worth it if it's not based on mutual respect. Whether it's a relationship with your spouse or with a friend or with a colleague or even with your boss. If your boss cannot respect you, you cannot stay in that job, right? As simple as that. Otherwise, you are losing your dignity. And what happens is that many people, after being in a codependent relationship for a long time, they end up with their self-esteem destroyed, right? So these are things that are essential. So I teach them, no, respect is essential. Afterwards, if you have, affection and love, those are nice extras, but essential for any relationship is respect.
Yep. And we have to heal that. We have to heal that self-esteem. We have to heal that self-confidence before we can even contemplate going into another relationship, because so many people go from one relationship to another one trying to fill a void where you haven't fixed the core problem, which is ourselves. And I know, working with codependents for so long now, and myself, we're afraid to look at ourselves. It's that mirror to say, what am I doing wrong that I'm allowing this to continue? And one of the biggest things is that we don't feel good enough about ourselves. We don't feel, and it doesn't even matter where it comes from, we don't feel that we are deserving, that we are capable of, fill in the blank. And therefore we just we keep reattracting other toxic, unhealthy relationships. So until that deep inner work is done on ourselves, we really should do ourselves a favor and not start dating anyone else until we learn to date ourselves and love who we are.
Oh my goodness, yes, Stephanie, exactly. I see women sometimes, I go from partner to partner to partner to partner, right? And they must, and they're thinking, what's wrong with me? And what I want to tell women is that there's nothing wrong with you, but there is something completely wrong with your beliefs, your subconscious beliefs, right? And what I love to do with my clients is really to go and uncover, right, the root cause. Otherwise, everything is like cosmetic, right? But it's to
Yep.
go inside, uncover, when was this trauma? When was this belief that I'm not good enough, or I'm not that important, or I'm not valuable, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not lovable? Right? Is to go to that point in time and then heal it there, right? And when you do, what I want to tell people, this is not something that, oh my God, I'm going to need 20 years to then heal this codependency. No. When you go to the root cause and you can heal that, like energy, there are energy shifts, things start to change so fast, right? I often think of a client of mine that she didn't feel lovable enough. And so even if a man would come and tell her, in the beginning of a relationship, and I really like you and I love you, imagine she told me once, she said, yeah, but I'm afraid that when he gets to know me really well, he's going to stop loving me, because deep down she didn't feel lovable enough. So this is also a message I want to tell people, that it doesn't matter even if you find a prince who adores you. If you don't heal your trauma, it's not going to work. But once you heal the trauma, when we uncovered, oh my goodness, this belief was set in her when she was a baby, right? Because she didn't feel loved by her mother. So when we healed that, she was able to actually, a man that she already knew but had never expressed interest in her, right? Then all of a sudden he confessed his love to her, and now they have a beautiful relationship, right? So there is so much hope. There is so much you can do, right? And I promised people in the description that I was going to tell them what's the fastest way to heal codependency. And that is
Mhm.
it, is you have to uncover those traumas, and then you automatically you start manifesting different things in your life, right?
And that's why it's so important to have a good support team, because so many of us don't have that support team. The people around us say, hey, relationships are hard, you just have to deal with them. Our family members are not necessarily coming from a healthy place themselves. So, having someone to get you through those really difficult emotions, because what have most of us done in the past? We feel those emotions, they're uncomfortable, and then we pull ourselves away. So we feel the fear, and then we pull ourselves away from it because there's that discomfort, because it's change. And I would like to say that we could, Barbara and I could wave a magic wand and say, bam, you're healed. But we can't do that. You have to actually get the work done, dig deep and have it hurt, and get out that infection, because that's pretty much what it is. Get it out of there. And then once you get it out, you're like, oh, this is so much easier to figure it out. But you need to have the right support, because if we could do it by ourselves, we would do it already. I mean, some people amazingly can. I was definitely not one of those. I needed, just like you said, you needed a coach. I needed a coach. I had a therapist. I reinvented my team of people to really make sure that I had the right people to help me never have to deal with this ever again. And hopefully that's where you'd like to be also. Like, I don't ever want to go through this ever again, because it's pretty terrible.
It is. No, and it's something like amazing happened to me today, actually, Stephanie. And I want to talk about this because it's exactly what we're talking about, healing traumas. It's amazing because a really good friend of mine, she's studying to become a therapist, and she needed somebody to practice on, and healing traumas. And exactly as you said, traumas, I want people to understand you cannot heal a trauma on your own, because this is on your subconscious level. And so if you're trying to heal it, you're going to use your conscious to heal it. So you cannot. But when somebody else then guides you, then they can help you tap into the subconscious. So today, I mean, this morning, Stephanie, so I'm with my friend Luna, and she says, do you have a limiting belief? And I realized, actually, I have a problem accepting gifts. I have a problem accepting that people give me gifts, or, I want to get rid of that. And she led me through one session. We uncovered where that was coming from, of course, from the childhood, right, as always, and the messages we're getting from our parents. And we worked on that, and it was very liberating. I cried like a little girl, right? Because I want people to understand that you cannot heal feelings unless you go back and feel them. So we healed that. And Stephanie, the most amazing thing happened. I mean, I'm still like in shock. 1 hour, less than 1 hour after I finished the session with her, a friend of mine calls me from South Africa, and she's like, oh my goodness, you know what? You're not going to believe this, but a friend of mine is a doctor in a cruise ship, and she's inviting us, the two of us, me and her, for free to go on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean in July this year. Can you believe it? For
Nice.
1 week. And I was
Wow.
like, because, and this is what I want people to know exactly, that when you heal things subconsciously, there will be energy shifts, and you're like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
I I said, no, it's incredible that it happens today. So I have to share this.
That's what it is. Once, because we only see the world through our eyes, and that's wherever we are coming from. So, if we start thinking the world is a negative, terrible place, then we see the world as a negative, terrible place. But once we uncover those deep rooted things that have been bothering us and we get them out, all of a sudden the eyes are like new. And so we see the world from such a different perspective. So in the past, where maybe you would have been like, oh, I don't know if I'm comfortable accepting this gift, here the universe tested you out and said, we're going to give you a gift to see how you react to it, and then we'll go from there. And because your reaction was so good, my guess is you'll just keep getting more and more, and then that's the law of attraction, just right there in full force.
Exactly. I know, exactly. That's why I'm even more excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, of the things that are going to happen in my life now that I was blocking. And this is the thing, right? Actually, I believe that the universe wants to give us everything, all our desires, right? It's even biblical, right? God wants to give us the desires of our hearts, but we are blocking those blessings with those wrong beliefs, right? And the wrong beliefs from childhood are always lies, right? And it's always around the same topic. It's either we're not lovable enough, or we're not good enough, or we're not beautiful enough, or we're not smart enough, or we're not capable enough, right? Just that. People watching is one of those things is blocking you. But the thing is that we can read tons of books, but books are at the conscious level. And the problem is that somebody can, right? We know this. You can tell somebody 1,000 times, oh my God, but don't accept disrespect from your husband. Oh my God, but you don't have to put up with that. I mean, you could leave, but we don't get it. I remember my sister trying to help me many years, but don't accept that. But send him packing and do this and do that. But I could not see that. You know what I would tell her? I was like, no, the Bible says that we should submit to our husband, so I'm going to do that. Right? We cannot see it. So this is also a message I want to give to people. You cannot heal something subconscious with conscious mind. You really have to go there. And when you go there, things can start to resolve a lot faster than you think. That's a
Mm-hmm.
beauty.
And it is, it's feeling, allowing yourself to really feel the emotions, not having something get in the way or try to suppress them, because that's how we got here. It was funny because I'm trying to make some plans over the summer with my sister and do a kind of a family event, and we started talking about some family issues and things like that. And I shared with my sister some things that I knew about some relatives, and she was like, oh, I didn't realize. And I said, it's so interesting because everyone has their different story of what they're telling themselves of what happened in the family relationships. And it all comes down to, and exactly what you said before, that we're all just little children in adult bodies doing adult things. I mean, so many of us, whatever age we're at, I'm still that little kid that I was 40 years ago at this point. But I'm still that little person that has some of those moments of some of those insecurities and some of those things. And until we figure out what those things are and what's actually keeping us back from the things that will bring us joy, we're going to keep reliving them over and over again until we say, oh, that's what the universe is trying to teach us. Okay, now I get it. And then we get to learn different lessons. Because if you're anyone like me, I needed to learn the same thing over and over and over again because it wasn't getting through my head. Once I finally got it, I was like, oh, okay, now I can move on to other things that I need to work on, as opposed to the whole relationship thing, because it took me a little while to figure it out. And it was a relief when I finally was able to let go of what didn't serve me so I could prepare myself for the next best thing that I could possibly. I would have never even imagined that life could be the way it is now. And I'm sure, you said you were able to attract your partner. I love hearing that, because that's where so many people get stuck, as they say, I'm going to be alone forever. I'm never going to find the right person. And then you're just another testament that, hello, you can actually, and you would not have been able to find your current partner had you not let go of what didn't serve you in your past relationship.
Exactly, absolutely. I needed to heal that, yeah. And the beauty is definitely that once we heal, right? Then I could. This is actually what I did. I asked God exactly what I wanted. I said, I give up now on my relationship. that's it. It's over. I really felt it. That's it. I gave my best. I did everything, and I understand. I'm not going to solve it, because my partner needed to do therapy. But if somebody doesn't want to do therapy, you cannot do it for him. And here I want to talk about, I said also in the description that I wanted to talk about the 3 biggest lies that codependents are believing. And one of those lies is that I can save this person with my love, right? That's one of the biggest lies. So I remember my ex-husband was sent to boarding school when he was really little for many years. So I always felt, my gosh, he didn't receive the, love. And so I had all this love, and my love was going to cure him. So most codependents are living like that. So that's biggest lie number 1 is, no, your love cannot save anybody, right? The second lie was, the more I love him, the more he'll love me, right? We think, oh my gosh, the more I give to somebody and the more I do for them, the more they're going to love me. But that's not true at all, right? People will love according to their capacity to love. It has nothing to do with what you do for them or don't do to them. It's don't do for them. It has strictly to do with their capacity for love, right? That's why God can love everybody. Doesn't matter what, even the worst person, Hitler, God can still love them because his capacity for love is so great, right? And some people have a diminished capacity for love because of their own traumas. So it's not like they're evil. It's just that they have their own traumas, and nobody can heal anybody else's trauma unless they themselves go through therapy and they get help, right? Oh yeah, and another lie that the third lie I want to talk about. There are many. Not. I don't know if I lost you, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you again now. Okay. Cannot see you that well. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.